Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9.
Good morning to you. It is another great day here in the South Sound. Spencer, good morning.
Good morning to you. What's going on today?
Well, Thursday, and in the news today, updated numbers on COVID in Mason County. Masks, again, are being required starting Friday, so just another reminder there. Also, we'll look at different ways coronavirus is climbing across the country and some news out of the Mariners.
And I'll check the weather for the week. It's going to be nice today. And we'll talk with Tanika Watford-Williams from the Wright group about an event this weekend they're putting on.
Mason County Public Health was notified yesterday of one additional Mason County resident tested positive for COVID-19. This brings the total to 44 positive cases total. Mason County Public Health is continuing contact interviews. The patient, a female in her 50s, currently isolating at home. If you're showing signs of symptoms for COVID-19, early testing is encouraged. At the earliest signs of symptoms, please reach out to the Respiratory Illness Triage line, and they can assist you in scheduling an appointment at Mason Health's drive-through COVID testing. That is 360-427-3615.
A statewide public health order is requiring people in the state to wear facial coverings in most indoor and outdoor public settings. A separate proclamation requires even more stringent requirements on Yakima County, one of the areas hardest hit by the coronavirus. In addition to being covered by the statewide mandate on masks in public, there will now be a legal requirement that prohibits people from entering a place of business, either indoors or outdoors, without first donning a mask. Under that same proclamation, businesses in Yakima County are prohibited from allowing a customer to enter a business or conduct business with a customer in any public space unless the customer is wearing a face covering, and the orders take effect tomorrow.
Colleges and universities can resume in-person classroom instruction later this summer as long as they follow protocols to protect those on campus. Guidance issued yesterday by the governor gives universities, colleges, tech schools, and apprenticeship programs options to consider as they prepare to return students as early as August 1st, depending on the academic calendar. Each institution must also develop plans to meet standards for reopening that comply with federal, state, and local health requirements.
Coronavirus infections are climbing rapidly among young Americans in a number of states where bars, stores, and restaurants have reopened. It's a disturbing generational shift that puts young people in greater peril than many realize and poses an even bigger danger to the older people who cross their paths. National figures show that almost as soon as states began reopening, people 18 to 49 years old quickly became the age bracket most likely to be diagnosed with new cases. And although every age group saw an increase in cases during the first week in June, the number shot up fastest in the younger age group.
And with the reports that baseball could be coming back towards the end of July, Seattle Mariners general manager Jerry Dipoto says a few players have tested positive for COVID-19, declining to specify the number of players or if they're part of Seattle's 40-man roster. He did say, though, that all have been asymptomatic. And again, a reminder that fireworks sales start on the 28th, so the 4th of July is just around the corner, and a good time now to remember that many pets get loose, scared of the fireworks. So please do what you can now to protect your four-legged friends in the family as we get ready for Independence Day. More Daybreak Show is coming up.
From the I-Fiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Hey, good morning once again. The Daybreak Show rolls on here this Thursday. Spencer, how's it going?
It's going all right. Good morning to you.
We'll have some regional news here in a moment. Oh, man, heard the news yesterday, and we knew it was coming, but the New York Marathon was canceled.
Man.
So Stephanie, Stephanie got in a lottery and won a place in that race, which is the largest race or something in the country. Some 50,000 runners descend on New York City, running through the 5 boroughs. And she had gotten her place like back in February. So I immediately started jumping on the websites for hotel bookings. And late February, we were obviously reporting on coronavirus across the state and well, no, in that time it hadn't have been there yet, but across the world really. And I was looking at it and I says, man, I just am not sure about this virus thing. We need to probably pay a couple $100 extra in insurance in case we need to cancel so we don't lose out on this. And so we kind of talked about that. And sure enough, I added that. And yesterday we got the word. Fortunately, though, she'll get an entry into one of the next 3 races over the next 3 years. So depending on where we're at in the virus and distancing and stuff. I mean, we knew it was coming, and as sports starting to talk about coming back, and then we see the big tennis stars, Djokovic gets COVID, and then we just reported on some of the Mariners that have it as well. It's just a tough time, and so I feel so bad for Steph. But
yeah, I do too. But
things across the whole country have been canceled.
Yep,
maybe next year, and things are just canceled.
Yeah.
Regional news now. A collection of Seattle businesses, property owners, and residents are suing the city over its tolerance of an occupied protest zone, saying officials have been complicit in depriving them of their rights to their property. The plaintiffs include a tattoo parlor and auto repair shop, emphasized in the lawsuit filed yesterday that they were not trying to undermine the anti-police brutality or the Black Lives Matter messaging of the Capitol Hill occupied protest area. The lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court, and the Seattle City Attorney's Office said it had not yet seen the lawsuit, but it would review it.
The agrochemical giant Monsanto has agreed to pay Washington State $95 million to settle a lawsuit that blamed it for pervasive pollution from PCBs, toxic industrial chemicals that have accumulated in plants, fish, and people around the globe for decades. The announcement yesterday from Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson came as Bayer, which acquired Monsanto 2 years ago, said it would pay $820 million to resolve PCB pollution claims and up to $10.9 billion to resolve many claims, both current and future, over contamination from or exposure to Monsanto's Roundup weed killer. PCBs were used in many industrial and commercial applications, including paint, coolants, sealants, and hydraulic fluids.
U.S. regulators are requiring inspections and possible repairs to engine coverings of all Boeing 737 MAX jets. That's because of a problem that regulators say could lead to loss of engine power. The problem isn't related to a system suspected in 2 deadly crashes involving MAX planes, but it's another blow to the company's safety reputation. The FAA says strong electromagnetic fields could cause loss of power or faulty readings in the cockpit because of inadequate shielding around wiring. All MAX planes have been grounded since March of 2019, and it's not clear that the engine covering defect will further delay Boeing's goals of getting planes back in the air this year.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in coronavirus relief payments have been sent to people behind bars across the United States, and the IRS wants the money back. The federal tax agency is asking state officials to help claw back the cash it says was mistakenly sent. The legislation that authorized the payments during the pandemic doesn't specifically exclude jail or prison inmates. An IRS spokesman says the agency is relying on the unrelated Social Security Act, which bans incarcerated people from receiving some types of benefit payments. Some groups say inmates need the money, especially if they've been recently released.
And a Washington sheriff has asked the state's highest court to reject legal arguments seeking his removal. The Daily Herald reported attorneys for Snohomish County Sheriff Adam Fortney are seeking a state Supreme Court review of a lower court ruling allowing an effort to unseat him to move forward. The committee, to recall, Sheriff Fortney accuses him of violating his statutory duties and endangering community peace and safety by saying in an April 21st social media post that he would not enforce Governor Inslee's coronavirus stay-at-home order. The group also leveled other accusations of office misuse by the sheriff. More Daybreak Show is coming up. Good morning to you.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber1 News Radio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey here on the Daybreak Show. Coming up, a conversation with the More Wright Group, a 501c3 out of Tumwater and Alabama. A big thanks to Peninsula Credit Union for continuing to sponsor nonprofit news, getting the 501c3s on the air to talk about the things they do in their communities. If you're a nonprofit or know a nonprofit, a 501c3 that would like to get their information out, please get in touch with me at jeff@ifiber1. Now, the interview.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. I am happy to have on the air today from the Wright Group. It's the executive director. It's Tanika Watford-Williams. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I am well. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to talk with you and excited to learn a little bit more about the Wright Group. It's a 501c3 that does a lot of great work across the country, really. You can find them online at tmwg.org. And their mission is to break the cycle of poverty, abuse, and abandonment in the community by providing hope. And there is a lot of need for hope right now.
It is.
Tell me a little bit about the Wright Group, because I'm so fascinated with the backgrounds of businesses and how they come about. You have two locations in the U.S. One is in Demopolis, Alabama, and the other is in Tumwater, Washington. How did that happen?
It's a very interesting story. So the Wright Group formally became a nonprofit in 2016. And before that, we were an organization that was existing to help the community thrive. So the Wright Group was it's two last names. We're not better than other people. Two last names. The Moore family and the Wright family. It was the Wright Group we started by Jesse Moore, who actually is in Demopolis, Alabama, and is my father. And the Wright side of the family is my biological grandmother. So the family came together to impact our communities, and it's kind of grown from there. So I became the executive director in 2018, and we maintain both locations. We do some small projects in other states and partner with other organizations to get some of the donations that we receive from corporate partners into the community to be able to provide hope.
This upcoming weekend, the Hygiene for Hope Drive is a 2-day event, and I know I pulled you away from filling kits for families, but some 8,000 hygiene kits are going to be available over the course of the weekend. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Wright Group runs a program called the Disaster Distribution Center, and our Disaster Distribution Center gets a lot of donations from corporations. And we normally distribute it through community partners. And this time we realized that we had a whole truckload of things come in from Colgate and MAP International. And we decided that instead of kind of distributing through our normal means, we would do something that would directly impact families, so they can come and pick up a box of hygiene items that can include toilet tissue and paper towels and mouthwash and toothpaste and hand soap and body wash. Just those little things that when you're trying to stretch dollars, they add up quickly and take your dollars away when you need to pay for other things. So we figured this was a great opportunity to just put things in the hands of families and community members so they can be able to have some more hope during this time as well. And know that other people are there for them.
It looks like there are some things to give messages out to folks. It's going to be Saturday from 11 to 6:30 and Sunday 11 to 6. It's on 29th Avenue in Tumwater. There's also masks that will be available for folks who need them when they arrive. Yep. And how have the Wright Group and you and everybody been during these last couple of months because of coronavirus?
We have been busy. We initially started, we have a program called the Resource Connection Center. That initially was in helping 5 counties here. So in COVID alone, we've gone from helping 30 organizations in 5 counties to helping over almost 140 organizations in 20 counties. And in COVID alone, we've assisted about 188,000 families. So we are constantly busy. And we're grateful to be able to help the community, but we've been running. And
I'm looking at some of the things on the website again, tmwg.org. And for example, some of the great work that I see back in 2019, over 28 organizations help, over 150,000 families, and
over $3.4 million worth of product helped to those communities, and that was in 2019. The other thing I find fascinating on your website is the Academy section of this, where you're helping folks gain skills as well to help their futures.
Yeah, so we have a workforce development program in Thurston County and Mason and Lewis. We partner with Pack Mountain to do the Wing Academy. So we are the trainers for that. Outside of that, we also have our Warehousing and Logistics Academy. Same thing, just outside of it. So we train and certify around OSHA 10, forklift, which looks different now, certified logistics associate, certified logistics technician, and certified production technician, so that people can quickly obtain certifications and licenses so they can then get higher wage jobs and be able to be in the supply chain and distribution, which touches everywhere.
Yeah. And in Thurston County specifically, those types of jobs are highly sought after with all the warehouses that are, especially like in the Deep Lacey, Hucks Prairie area and stuff like that.
Yes, very much so. And now we've switched over to doing most of our classes virtually.
Sure.
So that's been new and interesting.
I'm sure it has, as it has for everybody these days. We're all learning this together. So again, it's Hygiene for Hope, a community drive that is coming up this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be the address, and I'll put all the links to this again in the show notes along with the website. 2747 29th Avenue in Tumwater. And if I'm just trying to think about that, what would that be? What would that be near?
So that is not far from SBSCC.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
So if you're the back way of SBSCC, we'll have signs that enter people around and exit to in a different place. So.
Perfect. Folks coming from the Mason Thurston area can get off at the courthouse there, take a right and head towards South Puget Sound, and then back up the Mottman area, and it's kind of back in there. And I'll put the links again, of course, 29th Avenue. Very cool. What a great organization. The More Wright Group. Tanika got in touch with me the other day. She says, I'm going to get the word out here. And I said, perfect. Let's do that. And I encourage you further down the road, as you have more things to go on and share with folks, to let me know, and we'll get you back on to talk about it.
I definitely will. I appreciate you just letting us get the word out about it.
You, I guess, now have to, though, get back to filling all those kits for the weekend.
We do, but it's hard work for a good reason.
That's exactly right. Again, the executive director for the More Wright Group, it's Tanika Watford-Williams on the phone line right now this morning. Thank you so much for taking some time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Again, a big thanks to the More Wright Group for spending some time with us this morning, and thank you to Peninsula Credit Union for sponsoring nonprofit news on AM 1030 and FM 103.3, iFiber One News Radio, KMAS. More Daybreak Show is coming up.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning again. Thursday here around the area, South Sound. Nice day today, although it looks like it's going to be starting to cool off a little bit. But yesterday by the afternoon, it was getting pretty warm. How are you doing, Spencer?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yeah, I don't mind when it cools down. I like the word cooling down.
So what, just 4 days ago was the longest day of the year, the summer solstice, and I'm sure you were out there dancing in the flowers around midnight.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. It was just still so
you
light out.
You saw me, didn't you?
You know, I did. I was peering through the forest. I was looking through the forest at the trees. Well, one thing about the summer solstice that is just fascinating is that and I believe most archaeologists, scientists, historians have agreed to this, that Stonehenge was used in the helping to understand the sun and the moon and the summer solstice and the equinox and things like that. Is that kind of your understanding?
Yeah.
As best that we know about Stonehenge?
Yeah, Sarah and I saw a documentary that was fascinating, that somehow the sun would line up a certain way. I always wonder how ancient civilizations knew as much as they did. They were very smart, much smarter than we give them credit for, to be able to come up with that stuff without Google and without science as we know it today. Pretty incredible stuff.
Well, a large pit has been discovered near one of the most famous sites. It is Stonehenge. Here's ABC's Michelle Franson with more.
Adding to the mystery, scientists have discovered a ring of large shafts a few miles from Stonehenge, which could be almost 5,000 years old. Archaeologists say they form the largest prehistoric monument ever discovered in Britain. Experts say they believe those shafts may have served as a border to a sacred area and could mark a new chapter in the story of Stonehenge. Michelle Franson, ABC News.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Isn't that something?
It's really incredible, and I think it's cool that as much as we think we know about things, you know what I mean? Like, same thing like Easter Island's another thing that mystifies so many people, captures our imagination.
Mm-hmm.
That just when we think we know everything about that, there are new theories all the time and new discoveries. And the cool thing with Stonehenge, well, it's kind of sad now, but when people don't behave, this is what happens. But when Sarah first went to Stonehenge years ago, you could walk right amongst the stones. You could put your hands on them. And I didn't know this, but they have a path now. If you see a lot of like documentaries with like aerial photography, you'll see a path where they guide you along now. You could sit there and take pictures from afar, but you cannot get on the grass and walk right up to them like you used to. Because people, she said some people were either trying to vandalize them, they were chiseling pieces of the, trying to get powder from the...
Oh, come on.
Yeah, they were taking it with them, just like, people take, I don't know, you're not supposed to take pine cones from like a national park or something. They were taking fragments of the rocks, which is sad, and they had to stop them, or else eventually there wouldn't be any of the rocks left, I guess.
Well, we all know what happened to the Bradys when they brought home the tiki from Hawaii. So the other thing that's so I knew you knew that sound right away too. The other thing that's so fascinating about Stonehenge and then just other discoveries like in the rainforests and stuff like that is the use of LiDAR. And, nowadays there's planes that can fly over something and somehow have the technology to have ground penetrating radar and they can see below, and then they can see in the forest line, the tree lines of old structures that nobody had ever seen in, thousands of years. So not only is the digging still going on and people are finding great things, but the technology on top of that is helping to pinpoint people's digs a little better.
It's really incredible when you see that. I like Expedition Unknown and Destination Truth, those type of shows, and they like the Mayan ruins are a good example of that, where you don't even have to have a shovel. I mean, you could see like the depth of buildings and structures, and they could piece things together without ever even setting foot on the ground. It's pretty incredible.
We went on a cruise many, many years ago down, the south, like the Bahamas and Mexico and stuff like that. And we stopped at some of those ruins. I don't think it was like the big ones that, I always see on Ancient Aliens, but they were some of the very impressive Mayan ruins. And it's just so fascinating to think about us living now and we're doing our daily lives, but you can be transported back thousands of years. And while there likely wasn't anybody, having a conversation on the radio like we're doing right now, people were still just living their lives. I mean, they were just going through, they were having jobs, they had families, but it was, 5,000 years ago, if not, more, and way back there, we all have kind of just repeated this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating to think about.
And then you wonder if 5,000 years from now, people will be looking at us, how we lived, and say, wow, those people were interesting.
Yeah, really, especially with what's going on now. You ain't kidding, bub. All right, before we get out, make that noise again before we get out of here. More Daybreak coming up.
I-Fiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey here and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show as we roll on this Thursday. We were telling you earlier this morning that fireworks sales go into effect on the 28th. They do that the week before the 4th of July, unless in your area it has been banned. They're in the city of Shelton and all across the state. There are areas that have banned the use of personal fireworks during the 4th of July. Well, as you can imagine, because of coronavirus and all the major fireworks shows being canceled or delayed, people are looking back to reigniting that 4th of July tradition, perhaps. Turns out the fireworks business is booming. Here's ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
The banner years due to fireworks shows being canceled and people who have been cooped up wanting to have outdoor fun, says the owner of a fireworks shop in Monroe County, northeastern Pennsylvania, Ken Schuckman.
We are practicing social distancing. We're limiting how many people can come into the store. We're all wearing face masks.
Boom, 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 baby.
Customers.
I'm back from Long Island. I was here last year. We had a great time. We're going to have a better time this year.
People are hungry for having a good time. We've been locked up for a while, so.
The store owner expects to be busy through July 4th. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
And if that's the case around your area again, please try to do everything you can to make sure your four-legged friends are safe and protected, whether that's just making sure they have a secure, quiet, dark space to go sleep in during the night, or if you have to get any sort of prescriptions for them. I hate every year we get reports of dogs and cats that have gone missing because of the 4th of July fireworks, and boy, I just would hate that for you. More Daybreak Show is coming up.
I-Fiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Hey, good morning once again, everybody. Jeff Slakey, Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. With Kaiser in the house and quarantine happening, we've been using a lot and utilizing a lot of Disney Plus. Good programming on there. They've got some good documentaries as well that are fun in the way that Kaiser doesn't necessarily seem to think that they are documentaries or, learning shows, but they're fun. There's ones on penguins and flamingos and all sorts of things for you to check out. There's a new docuseries that goes inside the making of the highest grossing animated film of all time. Here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
The pressure was on to follow up Frozen.
There's a sense of responsibility and high expectations.
And the new docuseries Into the Unknown, Making Frozen 2 shows just how tough it was. For instance, you see the notes meetings where other Disney directors and writers give some tough criticism early on in the process.
I was confused.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Kristen Anderson-Lopez and her husband Bobby write all the Frozen music, and they're in the series.
But it's necessary if you're going to make movies that have to last centuries.
Making Frozen 2 also shows the magical moments as well. All 6 episodes hit Disney Plus Friday. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Well, thanks, Jason. The other thing that I'm keeping an eye on is on July 3rd, and it's The Mighty Ducks. No, I'm kidding. I love that movie, but it's coming. Hamilton is going to be out. This is that Tony Award-winning musical. It's coming to Disney Plus. I guess they filmed it over about 3 days, and it was filmed back in 2016, so it's the original cast of this thing. So if you've never seen Hamilton, I've never seen it, but I've heard it's just awesome. I guess during the play, there are... if you see the real play, there's some bad words, there's some F words, a couple 3 F words, and anything over 2 automatically gets you an R rating. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's Hamilton, he made the whole thing. He wanted it to be accessible, so they did edit out 2 of the F words, so there's only 1 in there. But other than that, it's the stage show, and it looks really, really good. But also, as I mentioned, Mighty Ducks is coming out soon. There's the Solo, Star Wars, Sorry, bunch of TV shows, and looks like they're going to be starting to do some looks in at the reopening Disneyland too. So, that's a fun one. More Daybreak Show is coming up.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.